Let me ask you something, and I want you to be really honest with yourself. When is the last time you looked at your bank account and actually felt okay about what you saw? Not stressed, not anxious, not doing mental math, trying to figure out if you can cover everything until the next payday. Just genuinely okay. For a lot of people, that feeling is a distant memory, or maybe it never existed at all. You work hard, money comes in, and somehow it is gone before the month is even over. And the worst part is you cannot even fully explain where it went. Welcome to Wealthcraft, where smart money starts here. Today I'm going to walk you through the exact system I used to break out of the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle in just 14 days. Not by earning more money, not by making dramatic sacrifices, but by changing the structure of how I handled the money I was already making. And if you stay with me through this entire video, you're going to walk away with a clear day-by-day plan you can start running tonight. I want to start by being honest about something because I think a lot of personal finance content skips over this part. Living paycheck to paycheck is not a sign that you are irresponsible or bad with money. It is a sign that nobody ever taught you a system. Think about it. You spend 12 or more years in school and not one class teaches us how to manage a paycheck, how to build a budget that actually works, how to make money last, or what to do when an unexpected expense hits. We are handed a diploma and sent into the real world completely unprepared for the financial decisions we are going to face every single week of our adult lives. And then when we struggle, we blame ourselves. We tell ourselves we just need more discipline, more willpower, more motivation. But discipline cannot fix a missing system. Willpower runs out. What you need is a structure that works even on the days when you are tired and stressed and just want to spend money to feel better for 5 minutes. So what is the paycheck to paycheck cycle exactly, and why is it so hard to break? It works like this. You get paid. You feel a brief moment of relief because there is money in the account. You pay the bills that are due. You buy groceries. You handle the things that came up during the week. You maybe treat yourself a little because you earned it and you have been working hard. And then somewhere around day 10 or 12, you check your account and the number is already uncomfortably low. You start rationing. You start putting things off. You tell yourself you just need to make it to the next payday. Payday arrives. You feel that brief relief again. And the whole cycle repeats month after month, year after year, with no progress and no cushion and this constant low-level financial anxiety that never fully goes away. Here is why the cycle is so hard to break on your own without a system. The cycle is self-reinforcing. When you're always running low before payday, you never have enough buffer to handle anything unexpected. So when an unexpected expense hits, and it always does, it is just life. You either go into overdraft, put it on a credit card, or pull back so hard on other spending that you feel deprived, and then overcorrect by spending more when the next check arrives. Every unexpected expense sets you back. Every time you try to save, you get derailed. And every derailment feels like proof that you just cannot get ahead, which makes you less motivated to try again next month. But here is the thing. The cycle has a specific breaking point. And once you know where it is, you can target it directly. The breaking point is the first 48 hours after payday. What you do with your money in the first 2 days after it hits your account determines almost everything about where you will be financially at the end of that month. Most people treat those first 2 days as a green light. Account is full, stress is low, time to breathe and spend a little. But that mindset is exactly what keeps the cycle going. The first 48 hours after payday should be your most intentional and structured financial moment of the entire month. And I'm going to show you exactly what to do in those 48 hours. First, let me walk you through what the 14-day system actually looks like at a high level, because I want you to see the whole picture before we get into the details. The first 2 days are about capturing and allocating. You are not spending freely. You are making intentional decisions about every dollar that just came in. Days 3 through 7 are about tracking and awareness. You are building a clear picture of where your money actually goes, probably for the first time ever. Days 8 through 11 are about adjusting and protecting. You are making small corrections based on what you learned in the first week and putting guardrails in place. Days 12 through 14 are about locking in the system so it runs automatically going forward. By the time day 14 arrives, you will have a functioning money system that does not require you to think about it constantly or rely on willpower to maintain it. So through each phase. Day 1. This is the most important day of the entire system. The moment your paycheck hits, and I mean within the first hour if possible, you are going to do what I call the first hour split. You are going to divide your paycheck into 4 specific buckets before a single dollar gets spent on anything. The 4 buckets are fixed bills, variable needs, savings, and spending money. Let me break each one down with real numbers so this is not abstract. Let's say your take-home pay is $3,200 a month. Your fixed bills are the expenses that are exactly the same amount every single month and that you absolutely cannot skip. Rent or mortgage, car payment, insurance, phone bill, internet. Write all of those down and add them up. For a lot of people in their 30s, this number sits somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000. Let's say yours is $1,700. The money is mentally spoken for the moment your check arrives. You are not touching it for anything else. Your variable needs are the things you must spend money on every month, but the exact amount changes. Groceries, gas, utilities, if they vary, any prescription medications, these are needs, not wants. For a family or individual in the US, a reasonable estimate for this bucket is somewhere between $400 and $600 depending on your situation. Let's say $500 for this example. Your savings bucket is what you pay to your future self before anything else gets allocated to spending. And here's where most people get this wrong. They put savings last. To say, I will save whatever is left. But as we already talked about, there is almost never anything left when saving comes last. Your savings transfer happens on day one, same day as your paycheck, non-negotiable. We will talk about the right amount in a minute, but for now, let's say $150. Whatever is left after those three buckets is your spending money. $3,200 minus $1,700 for fixed bills, minus $500 for variable needs, minus $150 for savings. That leaves you with $850 for the rest of the month. Eating out, entertainment, clothing, personal care, anything that is not a fixed bill or a necessity. That is your number, $850 for the month, about $200 a week. When you know your actual spending money number, everything changes. You stop guessing, you stop hoping. You have a real constraint to work within, but here is the mistake most people make on day one. They do the math in their head and they convince themselves they know their numbers without actually writing them down or setting up the transfers. Doing it in your head does not work. You need to physically write down every fixed bill with its exact amount, add them up, and either set up automatic payments or manually note the due dates. You need to do an actual transfer to savings, not a mental note, an actual transfer on day one. You need a clear visual of what your spending money number is so that you carry it with you mentally for the rest of the month. Day two is about setting up your spending money system, because having a spending number is not enough if you do not have a way to track whether you are staying inside it. And this is where a lot of budget systems fall apart. They give you the math, but not the daily tracking method. Here is what actually works for most people, and it is almost embarrassingly simple. Take your monthly spending money number and divide it by 4. That is your weekly allowance. In our example, 850 divided by 4 is about $212 per week. Every Monday morning, that is your fresh weekly budget. When it is gone for the week. You cook at home, you find free entertainment, you wait. The weekly reset makes the whole thing feel manageable. Instead of trying to track 30 days of spending all at once, you are just managing 1 week at a time. And a week is short enough that you can hold it in your head and actually stay aware of where you are. Tracking your weekly spending, I want you to use whatever method has the lowest barrier for you personally. If you will actually use a budgeting app, use one. A lot of people like free apps that connect directly to their bank accounts and categorize spending automatically. But if an app feels overwhelming or you have tried apps and stopped using them, do not force it. A note on your phone works just as well. Every time you spend money on something that comes from your spending bucket, a restaurant, a coffee, a clothing item, anything, you add it to the running total in your notes. Check it once a day. Takes 30 seconds, keeps you aware. You cannot manage what you do not measure, and this is the simplest possible measuring tool that still actually works. This is where things usually go wrong in the first week. People start tracking, and they realize by Wednesday that they have already spent more than half of their weekly allowance with 4 days left to go. And instead of adjusting, they panic, feel guilty, and either abandon the whole system or overcorrect so severely that they feel deprived. Neither response helps. Here is what to do instead. If you hit midweek and you are already at 50% of your weekly budget, that is information, not failure. It is telling you something specific about where your money goes fastest. Maybe it is eating out every day for lunch. Maybe it is a few impulse purchases you made without thinking. Identify the specific thing that used up the most money and make one adjustment for the rest of the week. Not a complete shutdown of all spending, just one adjustment. Make lunch at home for the next 4 days, skip one planned outing, and do something free instead. One adjustment buys you back $50 to $100 and teaches you something valuable about your own spending patterns. Day 3 through 5 is pure awareness building. You are not trying to be perfect. You are trying to see clearly. Every day you are logging what you spent from your spending bucket, what it was for, and what the running total is. That is it. By the end of day 5, you are going to have a picture of your spending that is clearer than anything you have had before. And usually what people see surprises them. Not always in a dramatic way, but in a this is where it goes kind of way. For most people, it is one of 3 things. Food. Either the combination of eating out and groceries, or just dining out alone, consuming a much larger share of the spending money than they realized. Convenience purchases. The small automatic grabs that happen without a real decision being made. A drink here, a snack there. Something on Amazon that seemed necessary in the moment. Your subscription creep. The slow accumulation of monthly charges for services that are barely used but never canceled. Which quietly eats into spending money month after month. Here is what actually works when you see your pattern clearly for the first time. You resist the urge to fix everything at once. I know that feels counterintuitive. You see the pattern, and you want to overhaul everything immediately. Sustainable financial change works exactly like sustainable physical change. You cannot go from no exercise to 2-hour workouts every day without burning out. You make one change, you let it become normal, and then you layer in the next one. So after 5 days of tracking, identify your single biggest spending leak and decide on one specific behavior change to address it. Not a general resolution like I am going to spend less on food. A specific actionable change like I'm going to pack lunch 4 out of 5 work days this week. Specific and measurable beats vague and ambitious every single time. Day 6 and 7 are your first mini review. To the end of your first week on this system, spend about 15 minutes reviewing where you are. Look at your spending total for the week. Compare it to your $212 weekly allowance. Did you stay inside it? If yes, celebrate that genuinely. That is a real win. If you went over, by how much and on what? Does that tell you about next week? Look at your savings transfer. Did it happen? Is the money sitting safely in your savings account untouched? Look at your fixed bills. Are you on track to cover everything coming up in the next 2 weeks? This 15-minute review is not about judging yourself. It is about steering. A ship that checks its course once a week can make small corrections. A ship that never checks its course ends up hundreds of miles off target. Day 8 through 10 is when you start building your protection layer. This is what I call your financial firewall, and it is one of the most powerful things you can add to any money system. Your financial firewall is a small pre-funded buffer account specifically for irregular expenses. The things that do not happen every month, but always happen eventually. Car repairs, medical copays, a vet bill, a home appliance that needs fixing, a friend's wedding you need to travel to. These are not emergencies in the traditional sense. They are predictable unpredictables. You know they are coming. You just do not know exactly when. Most people handle these by pulling from their regular spending money and feeling derailed, or putting them on a credit card and carrying a balance. Your firewall account changes this completely. You open a separate savings account. Most banks will let you open a secondary savings account for free, and you label it something like buffer fund or irregular expenses. Then every month a small fixed amount automatically transfers there. Even $40 or $50 a month starts building up fast. After 6 months, you have $250 to $300 sitting there specifically for these moments. When the unexpected car repair hits, you pull from the firewall. Your regular spending money is untouched. Your savings is untouched. The unexpected expense is covered. That is what financial stability actually feels like. Not having more money, having a system that handles reality. Day 11 is your subscription audit day. I am giving this its own dedicated day because for most people in the 30 to 50 age range, subscription creep is silently consuming anywhere from $50 to $250 per month. You sign up for things during free trials and forget to cancel. We keep paying for services we used heavily for a few months and now barely touch. Do we have duplicate services? 2 different music streaming apps, 2 different cloud storage plans. On day 11, you are going to pull up your last 2 months of bank and credit card statements, and you are going to write down every single recurring charge. Everyone. Go through each one and ask yourself honestly, have I used this in the last 30 days? Is this genuinely adding value to my life right now, or is it just still there out of inertia? For anything where the honest answer is no, you are canceling it today. Not thinking about canceling. Actually canceling. Right then, while you have the statement in front of you and the energy to do it. The average American is spending over $200 a month on subscriptions according to recent surveys. A lot of people I talk to discover they have been paying for a streaming service for 8 or 10 months that they stopped watching after the first month. It is $80 to $100 just sitting there being wasted every single month. Finding and canceling even 2 or 3 subscriptions you are not using can free up $60 to $150 a month, and that money can go directly into your savings or your firewall fund without changing your lifestyle at all. That is money you were already earning, but previously giving away for nothing. Day 12 is when you automate everything you have built. Because the most fragile part of any financial system is the part that requires a manual human decision every single month. General decisions are vulnerable to bad moods, busy weeks, and the fact that life constantly competes for your attention. Automation removes the decision entirely. On day 12, you're going to set up automatic transfers for your savings, if you have not already, so that they happen on payday without you doing anything. You are going to set up automatic payments for any fixed bills that do not already have them, so that you never miss a payment due to forgetting or being distracted. And you're going to set up the small monthly transfer to your firewall fund so that it builds passively in the background without requiring any monthly effort from you. Once these automations are running, the only thing you have to actively manage every month is your spending money. Everything else just happens. Your savings grows automatically. Your bills are covered automatically. Your firewall builds automatically. Your only job is to stay within your weekly spending allowance and do your 15-minute weekly review. Does it? A functional money system should not require hours of your attention every week. It should run mostly on autopilot and only need you for the daily spending decisions and the weekly check-in. Day 13 is your mindset day. And I know some people skip this kind of content in financial videos, but please do not skip this part because it might be the most important thing I say in this entire video. The 14-day system I have just walked you through is practical and it works. But the reason most people try a system like this and eventually fall off is not because the system stopped working. It is because of the stories they tell themselves about money. If you grew up in a household where money was always scarce and stressful, you may have an unconscious belief that financial stability is something other people have, not you. If you've tried to budget before and it did not work, you may have a story that says you are just not a money person. If you have spent years feeling behind financially, you may have a belief that it is too late or the hole is too deep to climb out of. None of those stories are true. They feel true because they are familiar and because they are reinforced by experience. But experience can change, and when experience changes, the story changes too. Every week you follow the system and end up with money still in your account. The old story gets a little weaker. Every time you hit your weekly spending number, the identity of someone who is good with money gets a little stronger. Every savings transfer that goes through uninterrupted rewrites your self-image in a small but real way. Financial transformation is not one dramatic moment. There's hundreds of small moments that accumulate over time into a completely different version of your relationship with money. Day 14 is your first full system review. 2 weeks ago, you had a paycheck and no system. Today, you have tracked your spending for 2 full weeks, made at least one specific behavior adjustment, set up automatic savings and bill payments, started your Firewall fund, completed a subscription audit, and built a clear picture of where your money goes and how much you have available to spend each week. That is real progress. That is a foundation. In this review, I want you to look at a few specific things. First, how much is in your savings account compared to 2 weeks ago? Even if it is $150, that is $150 more than you had. That is momentum. Second, how much do you have left in your spending money for this month? If you still have money available rather than running on empty, that is a sign the system is already working. Third, look at the subscription audit. How much are you saving each month from the subscriptions you canceled? Add that up and decide where that money is going: savings, Firewall fund, or paying down a debt. Fourth, how does your financial stress feel today compared to 2 weeks ago? I'm willing to bet it is at least a little lower. Not gone, but lower. Because clarity reduces anxiety. Even when the numbers are not perfect, knowing your numbers feels better than not knowing. So let me bring this all together with the core message of everything we have covered today. Living paycheck to paycheck is a structural problem, not a character flaw. It means the money is coming in, but there is no intentional system directing where it goes, so it flows to whatever pulls hardest in the moment. To fix is not earning more, although more income always helps. To fix is building a simple, clear, mostly automated system that tells every dollar where to go before it gets a chance to disappear. The first hour split on payday. The weekly spending allowance. Daily tracking that takes 60 seconds. The weekly 15-minute review. The Firewall fund for irregular expenses. The subscription audit. Automating everything you can. These 7 pieces together form a system that can take someone from complete paycheck to paycheck anxiety to genuine financial stability. Not overnight, but within a few months of consistent application. And the 14-day process I walked you through today is just the launch. You are not expected to have it perfect by day 14. You are expected to have it started, to have the structure in place, and to understand what you are doing and why. The rest is just showing up for the weekly reviews, staying inside your spending number, and letting the automations do their job. Over time, you will increase your savings amount. You will pay down debts. You will build the kind of financial cushion that means a car repair or a medical bill is an inconvenience instead of a crisis. You will stop checking your account with dread and start checking it with the quiet confidence of someone who knows exactly where they stand. Transformation is completely available to you with the income you already have. I genuinely believe that. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me one of 2 things. Either where you are starting from today or what the first step is that you are going to take tonight after watching this video. Maybe it is writing down your fixed bills for the first time. Maybe it is setting up that automatic savings transfer. Maybe it is doing the subscription audit. Whatever it is, write it in the comments. That act of writing it down makes it real, and it helps hold you accountable. And if this video gave you something useful, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need this kind of content. And if you are not subscribed yet, subscribe now and turn on notifications, because every week on Wealthcraft we break down real money systems in plain simple language so that you can take real action with real results. I'll see you in the next one.